Good evening. Welcome to the Artistic Talent Show. My name is Melvin Isaac. I'm a certified community producer at Bric Arts Media, and I have a show called The Artistic Talent, which comes on every Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And also, you can watch it at 1 a.m. in the morning. Cable Vision 68 and Verizon Fios 42. So, before we begin, let me commemorate and salute to everyone that is celebrating Black History Month. I salute to you. And our feature is Weeksville. But before we get to Weeksville, let me read some very outstanding, educational, interesting messages about Black history. What is the history behind Black History Month? Black History Month, also known as African American History Month, it is an annual celebration in the United States and Canada, as well as in a few other countries. Celebrating in February, it highlights the accomplishment and struggle of African Americans throughout history, as well as the struggle they face in the modern world. These struggles have been ongoing for centuries, but Black History Month has only received attention relatively recently. So what is the history behind Black History Month? The idea for Black History Month originated in 1926, when first conceptualized by Carter G. Woodson in 1926. The time of recognition was originally Black History Week. Woodson was a historian and the founder of Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He proposed that the second week of February become known as Negro History Week, coinciding with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Both of these historical figures fought against slavery. So it seems the logical date for the recognition of African American history. So now I want to play a video relating to Black history. The name of it would be The Most Searched Performance. And I think you're going to like this.
I'm telling y'all already.
But just like life. All right.
Air Jordan ready to take off.
Can I get an amen?
And welcome to the very first National Oprah Winfrey Show!
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was very inspiring to me, and I'm pretty sure it was inspiring to the world. So now we're going to talk about Black history, and the feature of our show is Weeksville. The Inspired Stories of Weeksville, one of America's first free Black communities. Imagine being told your entire life that you were not really a citizen of your own town or country. Imagine being treated as an inferior, offered it only the most median of jobs, and told to be happy with your lot in life. Imagine being banned from church, stores, and theaters, even cemetery, because they did not serve your kind. Now imagine finding a town where you were accepted, a town where you were able to build your own home, worship in your own church, buy from stores owned by people like you, and raise and educate children in a place where they would be welcome. A town where you could reach old age and pass on dignity and equality. For Brooklyn, African American population in the 19th century, some of whom were recently freed from slavery, this remarkable town was called Weeksville, and it survives today in bits and pieces, some of which now comprise a historic center in present day Crowns High. Here is the story: slavery, abolition, and founding of Weeksville. By the time the Revolutionary War began, most of central Brooklyn belonged to the Bedford branch of the Lefferts family, who were among the largest landowners and slaveholders in Kings County. The Lefferts' vast estate was farmed with the help of tenants, farmers, and of course slaves. After much efforts by abolitionists and black and white, slavery was abolished in New York State in 1827. By the 1830s, the newly formed citizen of Brooklyn began laying out a comprehensive street grid, mapping areas that would long remain farmland. Around the same time, John Leffert began selling off partial of his estate, starting with the 8th Ward as far eastward as one could go and still be in Brooklyn. Brownsville and East New York were then a part of Flatbush, still an independent town within Kings County. Henry C. Thompson, a leader in the African American abolitionist movement, purchased 32 lots from the Leffert holding. He sold those lots to other African Americans, including two brought from longshoreman James Wheat, who built himself a house and started a community that would bear his name, Weeksville. The growth and decline of Weeksville. By the 1850s, Weeksville had become a successful community of more than 500 people, boasting more opportunity for home ownership, employment, and success for its black residents than any other parts of Brooklyn and well beyond. It was a safe haven during the draft riots of 1863. The town borders were approximately East New York, Ralph Troy, and Atlantic Avenue. James Wheat home was located near Schenectady Avenue and Dean Street. Weeksville had its own churches and businesses. It supported the Zion Home for Colored Age and the Howard Colored Orphan Asylum. It had its own cemetery and its own newspaper called the Freeman's Torchlight. Weeksville was home to many Brooklyn black abolitionist leaders. Dr. Susan Smith McKinney, the state's first African American female doctor, was born here, and the town was her home to New York City's first African American police officer. By the 1880s, development began to catch up to Weeksville. The street grid was expanded east, often running through homes and farm stands. Weeksville Cemetery was destroyed for Eastern Parkway. Wood frame house were replaced by masonry Rose House. The city of Brooklyn grew up around and through the town. Weeksville slowly disappeared as its residents adjusted or left. By 1930, Weeksville had been almost totally absorbed by Brooklyn, and only by the 70s it was just another part of the huge neighborhood of Bedford-Stuyvesant. Though Weeksville is now within Crowns Heights border, until the 80s it was considered to be Bedford-Stuyvesant or Bed-Stuy.
Welcome to the Weeksville Heritage Center. Even before slavery ended, there was a vibrant black town right in the middle of Brooklyn that almost disappeared from the history books. We're here to check out the culture and institutions unique to Weeksville and see what happened to this free black town.
Weeksville was a free 19th century African settlement that was established in 1838 prior to the end of the Civil War. So at this time, most black people in America are in slavery, and this was a free black community. It had its own school, its own church, a house for the orphans and single moms. So it had all of these institutions, and they were all black run and black led. In the midst of all this chaos and violence, they could come and live in Weeksville and be safe.
So this was a safe space before people coined that term, safe space?
Yeah, it was a safe haven, it was a refuge, it was a place of protection.
So I got this 21st century garb on. It's hard to blend in this town. The Weeksville staff has let me borrow one of their outfits. This is the old and new blended in right here in Weeksville. How's it look?
Okay, so let's go inside. Let's go back to the 1860s.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let's go.
Wipe your feet.
Yep. What's going on with this newspaper?
This is the Freedman's Torchlight. It was printed right here in Brooklyn in December of 1866. And this was the newspaper of Weeksville. And this newspaper was really important because it served as a teaching tool, right, to teach newly freed Africans how to read and write. And then it also told you how to conduct your life as a freed person. My favorite is the maxims to guide a young man. These are the rules you need to know. Keep good company or none.
Never be idle.
Never be idle.
Yeah, if your hands cannot be usefully employed, attend to the cultivation of your mind. So people would be sitting in the newspaper, chilling, reading, cooking their stew or chicken or
Telling stories,
telling stories,
singing songs.
Yeah. It would kind of put my PlayStation and my Xbox.
Exactly. None of that. You had to read back then.
So where are we going next?
Let's go to the 1900s.
Oh.
So this house would be a typical middle-class house. Here on the mantle are actual photos from our archives, and all of these folks lived here in Weeksville. And here's our baseball team.
What? I can't believe they have their own team. That must have been dope.
This is when you see Weeksville begin to change, right? So it goes from being isolated, rural, to being more metropolitan. And in the 1900s, you see Weeksville School become integrated, right? So Colored School number 2 is one of the first schools in the U.S. to have black teachers teaching white students. And that happened in the late 1860s here in Weeksville.
So you see that integrated school right here in Weeksville back in the day.
Yep.
In a calm way, not have tomatoes thrown at you. And
Exactly. It
National
wasn't,
Guard.
there was no violence to do it. We were civilized and we just talked about it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we made it work.
yeah.
Yep. So let's go to the 1930s.
That baby kind of scares me a little bit.
It scares you too? Oh, wow. It scares all the kids too. They all run. So these are dolls from the 1930s. And which is really cool about these dolls are that during that time, you couldn't even find black dolls.
What?
So you had to paint your dolls. And so these dolls are actually painted, and if you look close, you can see them.
Oh, I can see it.
And so now to even have black dolls, that was a struggle that had to be won, to have dolls that look like you.
It's part of the black experience, right? Just being creative and building your own reality with the pieces that's around, you know?
Yep, exactly. And so that's the end of Weeksville, essentially, after this time in the 1930s, because they built this grid system and the community began to change. They got absorbed into Bedford-Stuyvesant. So the small little village life that you had, it changed because now you're a part of a bigger community, right? And if you don't have any places, any institutions, any centers for those people to come together to create a unified way of thinking or way of life, then you don't have a community. I hope that the Weeksville Heritage Center becomes a sort of mecca of black liberation like it was in the 1860s, so that this can really be an institution, right, that the ancestors had dreamed of.
I'm from New York City. I'm from Queens. So to grow up so close to this place and not know about it until I'm a grown-ass man is kind of shocking. Because this is not only a space in the past, this is a space to bring forward into the future. The intentions of the people here was to be a free space for Black people, but for all people, you know, to set the standard of how everyone should be treated. I think that's what Weeksville represents.
So there we have it, the story behind Weeksville and the growth and the disappearance. So now, before we end this show, I want to share with you a video. And the video is pretty good. It's about some young kids in Martin Luther King School. So they're gonna be sharing about artists, people who they recognize, and it's very exciting to see the young kids do this. So that would be our last video. And again, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for continue with our legacy of Black History Month. And watch my show. It comes on every Monday and Wednesday from 1 a.m. in the morning, 11 p.m., and again at 4 p.m. It's on Cablevision 68, Verizon Fios 42. And again, my name is Melvin Isaac. I'm a certified community producer at Bric Arts Media, and I welcome you to my show. If you need any information or more information about what I do, I can be reached at, my email is misaac718@yahoo.com. My cell number is 347-328-2471. And thank you again for watching the Artistic Talent Show, for commemorating, celebrating Black History Month.
When you welcome them, everyone's going to become a frozen wax figure, okay? You're going to stand still, and then when they activate you, that's when you start telling them who you are and all about you, okay?
Hi, I'm Morgan White. I'm the 5th grade teacher at Martin Luther King School. Today we're hosting our annual live wax museum presented by 4th and 5th grade students who are presenting contributions made by African Americans throughout the world. So a live wax museum gives students an opportunity to show what they've learned in a new format versus a pen and paper research project. It allows them to use the STEAM skills that they learned here at MLK and bring their research into life.
Hi, my name is Felix. My character, she's the Senator of California. She's going to run for president. And when she was in college, she used to smoke, and now when she becomes president, she's going to make drugs illegal.
My name is Josiah Green, and I have G. Michael Basketball. He was born December 22nd, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. He's a graffiti artist and a boxer. You can see right here, he died over a heroin overdose at the age 27 in 1988. It's a good way to learn about somebody, because if you have them as a character, like you get to search them up and see what like details you have. I like this project because like you get to act as them after you do the board.
Okay, I want to thank you again for watching the Artistic Talent Show. My name again is Melvin Isaac. I'm a certified community producer at Bric Arts Media. I have a show that comes on every Monday and Wednesday at 1 a.m. in the morning, 11 p.m., and 4 p.m. It's on Cablevision 68 and Verizon Fios 42. For more information, I can be reached at cell number is 347-328-2471, and my email is mis718@yahoo.com. And I thank you again for commemorating, celebrating Black History Month with the Artistic Talent Show. And if you need to contact me again, is at mis718@yahoo.com or 347-328-2471. And I thank you again for watching the Artistic Talent Show. Thank you very much.
Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first ever heart surgery in 1893 without the assistance of x-rays, antibiotics, or modern anesthesia. Dr. Dan, as he was known, was born in Pennsylvania and received his medical degree from Chicago Medical School. In 1891, he founded Provident Hospital, the first interracial hospital in Chicago on the city's south side. The hospital established the first black nursing school. One fateful day, 2 years later, a young black man named James Cornish was brought to Provident Hospital with a serious wound on his chest. With his patient bleeding heavily, Williams saw only one option. He performed surgery on James' chest, fixing the severed artery, and then closed the wound. James was discharged 51 days later, fully recovered. He lived another 20 years, proving the success of Dr. Dan's operation. George Washington Carver was a botanist, agricultural chemist, and inventor. His innovation and determination helped to restore the struggling agricultural economy of the South during the early 20th century. Fascinated with nature from an early age, he grew a secret flower garden in the woods near his foster home. He earned the nickname the Plant Doctor by the time he was 10 years old because of his skill in caring for sick plants. At 27, Carver entered Iowa State College of Agriculture and graduated as one of their outstanding scholars. He was appointed their greenhouse director and an assistant instructor in botany. He earned his master's degree in 1896, and out of his long-held desire to help poor black Southerners, he accepted Booker T. Washington's offer to be the Director of Agriculture at Tuskegee Institute. Southern cotton farmers were bringing in smaller harvests and thus less money. Carver examined the soil and found the cotton plants had taken important nutrients from the soil. He discovered that peanuts, sweet potatoes, soybeans, and cowpeas return nitrogen to the soil, so he urged farmers to plant these in rotation with cotton. The crops helped feed the farmers' families and allowed them to grow more cotton than before. When the farmers struggled to find customers for their peanut and sweet potato crops, Carver made more than 300 products from peanuts, such as ink, shampoo, soap, and candy, and molasses, glue, and flour from sweet potatoes. Carver donated his life savings to Tuskegee to establish the George Washington Carver Foundation, which helped provide research opportunities for students. A museum was also founded in his honor. President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the dedication of the George Washington Carver National Monument, located near the scientist's childhood home in Missouri. It was the first national monument dedicated to an African American. George Washington Carver believed, "It is simply service that measures success." Madam C.J. Walker was the first African American millionaire businesswoman in the United States. Born Sarah Breedlove in Louisiana, she was orphaned at age 6. At age 20, she became a widow with a 2-year-old daughter to support. She worked as a washerwoman in St. Louis, Missouri, a job which required difficult manual labor with little pay. Still, she attended night school and saved what money she could to invest in her experiments. Sarah suffered from alopecia, a condition which left her hair dry and brittle, sometimes patches fell out. Dissatisfied with the hair treatments available at the time, she mixed different combinations of oils in her bathtub until she discovered a satisfactory formula. The treatment worked for her, and she then began testing her wonderful hair grower on other people. It was a hit, and after moving to Denver, Colorado, she perfected her treatment and created other products, including a straightening comb, which she patented in 1905. Sarah sold products door to door and used her own before and after photos as proof of her product's effectiveness. Sarah married Charles Joseph Walker in 1906 and began calling herself Madam C.J. Walker. Her Walker method took off, allowing her to establish an office and manufacturing headquarters after only 1 year. With the help of her daughter and nieces, Walker recruited more saleswomen to help sell her products. In 1908, Walker opened a second office in Philadelphia, as well as a beauty parlor and school in Pittsburgh. Her hair courses eventually became available in New York, Indianapolis, and at black colleges throughout the South. In 1917, Walker built a 30-room mansion in New York and began to sponsor black artists and writers, even establishing the Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis. By that time, her manufacturing company took up an entire city block and employed over 3,000 people. Madam C.J. Walker also donated generously to scholarship funds at Tuskegee and Palmer Memorial Institutes and organizations such as the YMCA and the NAACP. Garrett A. Morgan was an African-American inventor born in 1875 in Kentucky. One night, a Cleveland Waterworks construction crew became trapped underground in a cloud of toxic fumes when their tunnel beneath Lake Erie exploded. First responders made 2 unsuccessful attempts to rescue the workers. With time running out, the authorities summoned Garrett and his brother Frank. They arrived with a gas mask Morgan had patented 2 years before. Earlier breathing devices were unreliable, so Morgan invented something better. Firefighters, engineers, chemists, and other workers who regularly